Yes, they hurt you, but you can still rise. Let's start with something honest. Not a solution, but a question that lives quietly inside anyone who's been deeply hurt. How could they do that to me? I'm not talking about a small argument, not a misunderstanding. I mean real betrayal, the kind that shakes your whole world. The kind that leaves you breathless. That changes how you see yourself, how you trust others, how safe you feel in life. This kind of pain doesn't just live in your mind. It settles in your body, in your chest, your sleep, your silence. It changes you. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Yes, what they did was real, but so is your power to rise from it. You don't have to forget what happened. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. But you do have the strength to heal, to reclaim your peace, to rebuild your life on a foundation they can never shake again. And that journey starts right here, with you. If you've been there, you know the symptoms. The spinning thoughts. The drop in your chest when a memory hits you sideways. The way your hands tremble even weeks later. The loop, why, how, what did I do wrong, playing silently behind your smile. I want you to know something before we go any further. You're not broken, you're not weak, and you're not crazy for still feeling it. You're human, and humans, despite everything we build and wear and perform, were made to connect. And when that connection is severed by dishonesty, disloyalty, manipulation, especially by someone we trusted, the nervous system goes into shock, not just emotionally, but biologically. See, the body doesn't know the difference between emotional abandonment and physical danger. In both cases, it reacts with a flood of stress chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, inflammation. That's why betrayal doesn't just hurt, it burns, it scrambles, it stains. So the pain is real. But so is your power. And that's what we're reclaiming, not just in theory, not in some distant spiritual way, but in practice, tangibly, measurably, one breath, one choice, one internal shift at a time. Step 1. Let's drop the myth of time will heal it. You've probably heard it before. Maybe you've even told it to yourself. Give it time. Time heals all wounds. But that's only partly true. Time can mute pain, sure, but it doesn't resolve it. What resolves pain is awareness. What transforms hurt is integration. What liberates you is conscious choice. If you simply wait for pain to go away, you're not healing, you're just surviving. And here's the thing, surviving is not the goal. You weren't made to just survive betrayal, you were made to rise from it. And rising starts with acknowledging what really happened. Step 2. Stop minimizing what they did. Let's be honest. Most of us don't want to admit how deeply we've been hurt. So we rationalize. We say, it wasn't that bad. They didn't mean it. Maybe I overreacted. We explain away the betrayal because part of us thinks it's safer to protect them than to fully feel what it did to us. Why? Because feeling it means facing the grief, the anger, the disorientation, and facing that feels like death. Death of the version of us that believed we were safe, valued, protected. But here's the paradox. The only way out is through. So I'm going to invite you to do something radical. Tell yourself the full truth. Not the nice version. Not the version you crafted to keep the peace. Not the version that makes them look better. The real version. They said they loved me, but they discarded me like I didn't matter. They betrayed me and never once apologized. They violated the sacred trust I offered them. They lied, and then they gaslit me for noticing. Say it. Write it. Let the words shake. Why? Because that's what cuts the invisible cord. Not revenge, not silence, not waiting for closure that may never come. Truth is the beginning of liberation. Step 3. The mirror moment. Now, here's the next edge, and this is where the real transformation begins. Once you've told the truth about what they did, I want you to turn inward, not with blame, but with compassionate curiosity. Ask yourself, what did I feel in that moment really? What story about myself did this betrayal activate? What part of me was hoping they'd see my worth? This is what I call the mirror moment. It's when we stop staring at them and start seeing ourselves clearly. Not because you caused the pain, but because only you can heal it. This is the shift that changes everything. The moment you stop giving them free rent in your mind and start asking, what part of me is ready to rise now that they're gone? Step 4. The body remembers, so let it speak. Emotional pain doesn't just live in the heart. It lives in the body. That ache in your chest, that tightness in your stomach, that fatigue that won't go away, that's not just mental, that's somatic memory. The body remembers the moment you realized they lied. It remembers the way you felt when you saw the message, heard the truth, or watched them walk away without explanation. And if we don't release that from the body, it becomes our new normal. So here's what I want you to do. Not next week, not tomorrow, today. Find a private space, sit still, close your eyes, and ask your body, where am I still holding this pain? Don't try to fix it. Just listen. Maybe it's a burning in your chest, maybe a lump in your throat, maybe a trembling in your hands. Put your hands on that place and breathe. Not to force healing, but to presence it. Because here's the truth. You can't release what you refuse to feel. Step 5, the turning point. Now, take this in. They hurt you once, but if you continue to relive it every day without healing, that's no longer their wound. It's your pattern. And that's not judgment, that's power. Because if you created the pattern, you can also break it. And this is where we begin, not by pretending we're fine, but by being honest enough to say, I'm not okay, but I will be, and I'm choosing to reclaim myself now. Not someday. Now. In this breath. In this moment. That's the beginning of emotional sovereignty. That's the first step to becoming someone who's no longer defined by the ones who couldn't love them properly. Let's begin with an ancient image, one that still holds timeless wisdom today. The alchemist. In old traditions, an alchemist was someone who believed they could turn base metals like lead into gold. And while history tells us they may not have succeeded in the literal sense, spiritually and energetically, they were right. Because here's what they really practiced. Transformation of the worthless into the priceless. And today I'm going to teach you how to become that alchemist, not in the lab, but in your own life. More specifically, in your own heart. Let's be real, the hurt was heavy. When someone betrays you, disrespects you, leaves you behind, or discards your love, it can feel like everything that mattered has collapsed into rubble, and that rubble is what you're left to live with alone. You see the texts, the pictures, the promises, all smashed like glass on the floor, and your first instinct is to either sweep it all under the rug or lie down in it and hope the pain eventually numbs. But here's what I want you to consider. What if you didn't throw it away? What if you didn't collapse under it? What if you used it? Because here's a truth that most people miss. Pain is pressure, and pressure, if directed correctly, can create something rare. Diamonds are born under pressure. So is depth. So is self-respect. So is the voice inside you that says, never again. The shift from breakdown to breakthrough. Let me walk you through a mindset shift that changed my life and thousands of others I've worked with. When something awful happens to us, our default mode is, why did this happen to me? Why would they do this to me? What's wrong with me? But the alchemist doesn't ask that. The alchemist says, what can I learn from this? What strength is this pain inviting me to build? Who could I become if I honored this pain instead of hiding from it? That's not spiritual bypassing, that's neuroplasticity. It's the ability to rewire your brain, your beliefs, and your behaviors all through intentional focus. The moment you stop obsessing over the person who caused the wound and start focusing on what the wound is trying to teach you, everything changes. The Alchemy Journal. A simple practice with immense power. Here's what I want you to do. Right now. Not next week. Start a page called Alchemy Notes. On one side of the paper, write this at the top. What this hurt cost me. List everything: the sleep, the peace, the confidence, the tears, the second guessing. Be real. Then draw a line down the middle of the page. On the right side, title it, What This Hurt Can Teach Me. Here's where you write the gold. The lesson. The muscle. The new boundary. The new intuition. The awakening. Example. On the left, they made me feel unworthy. On the right, now I see how much of my worth I had outsourced to them. I'm taking it back. Left, I ignored red flags. Right, I'm learning to trust my first instinct, not override it with hope. You're not looking for silver linings. You're looking for foundations, solid truths that will never again be shaken in the same way. You're not weak, you were under construction. Here's something powerful I want you to hear and internalize. You didn't get broken. You got built. That collapse, that betrayal, that ghosting, that abandonment, that disrespect, it wasn't a demolition. It was a redesign. Every system that isn't sustainable must collapse. Every illusion eventually crumbles. Every false version of love gets exposed, especially when the real you starts emerging. So if you feel like your life's been reduced to ashes, good, because that's where the phoenix is born. And the phoenix doesn't rise by waiting, it rises by deciding. Turning hurt into strength, 3 alchemist mindsets. Let me give you 3 mental shifts, simple but powerful, that help turn emotional lead into gold. 1. From blame to boundaries. Blame keeps the pain alive. Boundaries tell the pain where it stops. Ask yourself, what boundary was missing that allowed this pain to enter? That's not self-blame, that's self-respect. Once you know where the gate was left open, you can build the wall stronger. 2. From obsession to observation. If your mind keeps going back to the person who hurt you, try this. Instead of, they did this to me, say, I notice that I'm replaying this again. That's information. You're training your nervous system to witness the pain without getting swallowed by it. That's mindfulness. That's emotional mastery. 3. From collapse to choice. Pain makes us collapse inward. It shrinks our posture, dulls our energy, numbs our hope. But the alchemist says, if I'm going to feel this pain, I'm going to use it. Write, dance, build, create, speak, change something. Don't just sit in the hurt, move it. Because energy, when stagnant, becomes depression. But when it flows, it becomes power. Final thought. What they did was the spark. What you build next is the fire. Look, I know what it's like to feel destroyed by someone else's decisions. To feel like you handed someone your heart and they didn't just drop it, they stomped on it. But let me ask you something real. Are you going to let that be the last chapter of your story? Or are you ready to say, yes, this happened, but I'm about to use it, watch me rise? Because that is what the world needs. Not more people hiding their wounds, but people who alchemize them into wisdom, art, clarity, peace. And that begins with you. Right now. Today. Let's talk about the weight you've been carrying. Not the obvious one, the betrayal, the loss, the heartbreak. We've started to unpack that. No, I'm talking about a deeper, heavier load. One that you've maybe grown so used to, it feels like part of you. It's called resentment. It's subtle. It hides behind sarcasm, behind numbness, behind that tight smile when someone asks how you're doing and you say, I'm fine. But it's there. And left unhealed, resentment turns from a response into a residence. You live in it, You decorate its walls with memories of what they did. You revisit it when something reminds you. You feed it with silence, with replayed conversations, with what ifs and why didn't I. And here's the painful truth that we need to say out loud. They may have hurt you once, but resentment keeps hurting you every single day after. You're not doing it on purpose. It's protection. It's survival. It's your nervous system trying to make sure you never feel that helpless again. But at what cost? Resentment is a contract with pain. I want to offer you a reframe. Resentment is a contract we sign with pain. It says, as long as I stay angry, I won't be vulnerable again. As long as I keep hating them, I'll stay safe from future hurt. As long as I don't let go, I'll be in control. But look closer, that contract also comes with fine print. You'll be exhausted. You'll replay moments that keep you frozen. You'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. You'll mistake walls for boundaries. You'll delay your joy. So here's the question. Is the pain worth the price you're still paying? Because if the answer is no, if you're ready to be free, then we start with a bold decision. You let go. Not for them. Not to minimize what they did. But because you deserve peace more than you need revenge. The 3 pillars of the freedom framework. This is how we begin to release the grip of resentment, not spiritually bypass it, but dismantle it from the inside out. We do it in 3 phases: awareness, choice, ownership. 1. Awareness. What is this resentment actually costing you? Let's get clear, not emotionally, logically. Grab a piece of paper, answer this. What has holding on to this hurt taken from me? Be specific. Energy, joy, sleep, intimacy, openness, confidence, presence with people who love you. Now flip the question. What could become available to me if I release this? Write it all. Clarity, lighter mornings, safer relationships, focus, purpose. When you see both lists side by side, it's not even a contest. You've already lost too much to a wound you didn't cause. It's time to stop bleeding for someone else's knife. Choice, forgiveness or reconnection. Let's shatter a myth right now. Letting go does not mean letting them back in. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can release the energy of pain without welcoming them into your life. Forgiveness isn't saying it was okay. It's saying, I'm not giving this energy any more access to my nervous system. You're not excusing the behavior. You're exiting the pain loop. That is emotional sovereignty. 3. Ownership. Taking back the pen. Here's the most radical part of the freedom framework. It's realizing that even though you didn't choose what happened to you, you get to choose what happens next. That's where your real power begins. The story they wrote, the lie, the betrayal, the neglect, it was just a chapter. But if you keep reading it on repeat, it becomes your identity. And you were not born to be the character in their unfinished story. You were born to be the author of your own. So today, I want you to take the pen back. Write this somewhere. They hurt me, but I choose not to carry their actions into my future. Say it aloud. Whisper it if you must. But let it land. That is the moment resentment ends. And responsibility begins. Gommed, a release practice for the body. Now let's get it out of your system. Because holding resentment isn't just mental, it's physical. It lives in your shoulders, your breath, your gut. Here's a practice you can do tonight. Sit in a quiet place, back straight, eyes closed, breathe deeply. Picture the person who hurt you, not to relive it, just to observe. Feel what rises in your body: anger, sadness, grief, rage. Say silently, I see you. I release the part of me still carrying this. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale forcefully through your mouth like you're pushing out the energy. Do this 5 times, slowly, deliberately. End with, I choose my freedom now. Do this every day for the next 7 days. Watch what starts to change. Final thought. Your peace is worth more than their apology. You may never get closure. They may never apologize. They may never feel remorse. But none of that is required for your peace. Because closure doesn't come from their words. It comes from your decision. I no longer need their permission to stop hurting. That's freedom. That's power. And it's yours whenever you're ready to claim it. Let's talk about boundaries, not the surface level kind we post about on social media, but the real ones. The ones that protect your nervous system. The ones that make your healing sustainable. The ones that determine whether your energy is guarded or whether it's bleeding out. Because after you've been hurt, one of 2 things happens. You become hard. You shut down. You build walls so high no one can reach you, not even the people trying to love you. Or, you don't set any boundaries at all. You keep giving chances, making excuses, hoping this time will be different. Neither of these options is healing. They're both coping. But healing? Real healing? That begins when you say, I can be open and kind without being a doormat. I can love you and still protect myself. I can care without sacrificing my clarity. That's the boundary revolution. First truth, boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. Let's get clear. Walls say, no one gets in. Boundaries say, you get in only if your energy, actions, and intentions align with my peace. See the difference? Walls are fear-based. Boundaries are self-respect-based. Walls push everyone out, even the people who want to help. Boundaries create a space for you to breathe, to choose, to observe who deserves access to your field. And here's why this is so important. Every time you allow someone to cross a line, you teach your nervous system that your peace is negotiable. It's not. From this moment on, I want you to let that be your truth. My peace is not up for negotiation. Step 1. Know your non-negotiables. Grab a notebook or open a document and ask yourself this. What behaviors instantly disrupt my peace? Being lied to? Passive-aggressive communication? People who dismiss your feelings? Being guilt-tripped into things? Whatever it is, write it down. This is your boundary blueprint. If you don't define it, you can't enforce it. Because here's the truth. People don't just test your boundaries, they test whether you'll enforce them. And most people don't mean harm, they're simply operating from their programming. If you've been conditioned to stay quiet, to tolerate, to over-explain, you've probably trained others to expect access to your time and energy without cost. But now, that training ends. Because you're stepping into the version of you who chooses alignment over approval. Step 2. Learn the language of boundaries. A lot of us were never taught how to actually speak boundaries. So we either say nothing, or we explode. Neither works. Here's what does. I'm not available for that kind of conversation. I value honesty. If I feel you're not being honest, I'll take space. That tone doesn't work for me. Let's pause and revisit when we can talk with respect. I care about you, but I won't stay in situations where I feel invisible. Notice the pattern? Direct, calm, clear. Focused on you, not them. You're not blaming, you're not attacking, you're just stating reality. And when someone crosses a boundary, you don't argue. You don't beg them to understand. You follow through. That's what makes a boundary real. Consequences. Step 3. You're allowed to change the rules. Sometimes the hardest boundaries to set are with people who've known the unboundaried version of you. The version that tolerated things. The version that over-explained. The version that stayed in conversations too long and didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Here's what I need you to hear. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to grow and say, this version of me no longer plays by those rules. And yes, people will notice. They might say you've changed. They might get offended. They might pull back. Good. That's the filter working. Because your new energy, it no longer fits the patterns you once called normal. And if someone can't adjust to the healed version of you, they were only ever compatible with your pain, not your power. Let them go. Step 4. You don't owe access to anyone. Here's where we burn the guilt script. You don't owe emotional access to people who've proven they can't handle it. Read that again. You're not mean for not answering every call. You're not cold for saying no. You're not selfish for choosing not to explain yourself endlessly. That's just cultural conditioning, talking the lie that says being a good person means being available 24/7. You're not here to perform. You're here to protect what you've rebuilt. So let me give you a new mantra. Every time I enforce a boundary, I reinforce my worth. That's not ego, that's emotional regulation. Step 5. Start small but stay consistent. You don't need to burn bridges today. You don't need to make some dramatic announcement. Start small. Say no when your body says no. Take space when a conversation drains you. Pause before replying to people who manipulate you with urgency. Step away from dynamics that leave you doubting your truth. Each of these is a micro-boundary, and they build up. They retrain your nervous system to feel safe in its own clarity. They rewire your brain to expect peace instead of chaos. They turn your life into a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Final thought. Boundaries are a love language to yourself. Let me leave you with this. A boundary isn't something you set against others. It's something you set in honor of yourself. It says, I value my time. I protect my energy. I listen to my nervous system. I choose environments that don't make me question my worth. That's not ego, that's evolution. And the people who can meet you at that level, they won't just respect your boundaries. They'll thank you for having them. Because healthy people feel safe with other healthy people. So here's your assignment. Write down 3 boundaries you will honor from today forward, no matter who's asking you to compromise them. Declare it. And remember, you're not building walls to push people away. You're building a life where only aligned energy gets to stay. If you're listening to this, I want you to take a moment and pause. Right here, right now. Close your eyes. Breathe in. Feel your body. Feel the truth in this next sentence. You are not the same person you were when they hurt you. And that's not just poetic language, that's biology. That's your nervous system adapting. That's your mind expanding. That's your spirit remembering who the hell it was before you ever forgot. You've been through the pain. You've stared at the betrayal. You've spoken the truth. You've started to let go. You've begun to protect your peace. Now it's time to do what you were always born to do. Rise. Why the phoenix? The phoenix is a mythical creature found in almost every major ancient culture, Egyptian, Greek, Chinese, Persian, and in every version, the story is the same. A radiant, powerful bird lives with beauty and strength until one day it burns. Completely. Reduced to ash. But from that ash, a new phoenix is born stronger, brighter, more refined. Why do so many cultures carry this symbol? Because deep down, we are all phoenixes. And you? You're standing in your ashes right now, which means you're standing at the edge of rebirth. The 3 phases of the Phoenix Protocol. This isn't fantasy. This is a process, one I've lived through, one I've taught, and one that thousands of people across the world have used to transform betrayal into becoming. I call it the Phoenix Protocol. 3 phases: recognition, reconstruction, rebirth. Let's walk through each one, not in theory, but in action. Phase 1, recognition. You can't heal what you don't own. Most people try to move on by pretending nothing happened. They minimize, they numb, they distract, they fake a smile. But all they're doing is burying the pain, and anything you bury alive grows stronger underground. So, recognition is where it all begins. This is where you tell the truth about how the pain shaped you. Ask yourself, what belief did this pain create in me? Did I start thinking I'm unlovable, replaceable, unworthy? Did I become cynical, distrustful, afraid to feel again? Write it out. Not to judge yourself, but to see clearly. Because once you name the shadow, it loses its grip. Phase 2. Reconstruction, rewriting your internal blueprint. Now that you've recognized what was built from the hurt, you get to build something new. Something grounded in truth, in worth, in you. This is where you ask, who do I want to be on the other side of this? Not who you were before, not who they wanted you to be, but the version of you that never shrinks again, never overextends, never negotiates your peace. This is not the time to decorate old ruins. This is the time to demolish the illusion and pour a new foundation. And it starts with new self-concepts. I am someone who listens to my intuition and honors it immediately. I am someone who doesn't chase love. I magnetize it by being aligned. I am someone who sees red flags not as puzzles, but as exit signs. This is the coding of your new reality. Speak it, write it, live it. Repetition creates identity. Phase 3, rebirth, letting the old you burn so the real you can emerge. This is the part that people fear the most and the part that creates the biggest breakthroughs. You must let the old you go. The you who kept peace to avoid conflict. The you who said, "I'm fine," while bleeding inside. The you who thought being needed was the same as being loved. That version got you here. But it won't take you further. So this is your fire, your funeral, your moment of sacred goodbye. Write a letter to your old self. Say thank you. Say goodbye. Burn it if you want to. Or bury it. But let it go. You're not here to return to who you were. You're here to become who you really are. What the Phoenix knows that most people forget. Here's the deepest truth of all. You were never meant to be the same after the pain. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to strip away what isn't you. And once the fire clears, you'll find that what's left is stronger, sharper, softer, more whole. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. You don't just survive betrayal. You build empires with the bricks they threw at you. You don't just move on. You move up. You don't just let go. You level up. That is the Phoenix. And that is you. Right now. Not someday. Now. Final activation. Choose your new name. Before we move into the final part of this series, I want to leave you with this ritual. The Phoenix is reborn with a new name. Not literally, energetically. So what will your name be? Will it be the one who finally spoke her truth? The man who let go with grace? The soul that refused to be defined by wounds? The light that didn't dim? The peaceful warrior? The rebuilder? Choose it. Write it. Speak it. Because this isn't the end of your story. This is where it finally begins. How to walk as the healed, unshakable you. You've survived the storm. You've looked betrayal in the eye. You've sat with the weight of unspoken pain. You've released the resentment, set new boundaries, and chosen rebirth over bitterness. Now comes the most powerful phase of all. Embodiment. This is where healing stops being something you talk about and becomes the way you move. This is where power stops being a concept and becomes your posture, your tone, your presence. Because here's what no one tells you about healing. It's not real until you live it. So let's talk about how to walk through the world as someone who is no longer governed by past pain, but guided by inner truth. Step 1. Stop explaining your healing. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the way you've changed. Not for the new boundaries. Not for your silence. Not for your distance. Not for your standards. Not even for your joy. When you begin to embody your healing, the first temptation will be to over-explain it. You'll feel the pull to justify your glow-up, to comfort people who were comfortable with your pain, to make others feel okay with the fact that you no longer abandon yourself to make them feel safe. Don't. The healed version of you isn't here to be digestible, it's here to be undeniable. Step 2. Your body is your truth now. Embodiment means healing isn't just something you understand, it's something you feel. In your spine, in your breath, in the way you walk into a room without shrinking. So here's the practice. Let your body lead. Shoulders back. Chin up. Slow your movements. Breathe deep when you speak. Don't fidget when silence makes others uncomfortable. Why? Because your nervous system holds your new identity now, and the way you carry yourself tells the world. I'm no longer living in reaction, I'm living in creation. Step 3. Let peace be your new normal. Chaos used to be your default. It wasn't your fault. You learned it. From trauma, from patterns, from family systems that taught you love meant fixing, pleasing, or being small. But not anymore. Now, peace is the new standard. Here's how you know you're embodying your power. You no longer respond to chaos like it's your job to fix it. You leave texts on read that used to trigger your nervous system. You hear gossip and stay silent because peace is louder than noise. You walk away from what doesn't feel right without guilt, without drama. This is what healing looks like when it matures. Not big declarations. Just small, quiet choices that protect your energy like sacred ground. Step 4. Your new identity is not a performance. Here's a powerful truth. You're not healing to become someone else. You're healing to become fully yourself. Not a better version. Not a shinier, spiritual influencer. Not a perfectly healed person who never gets triggered. No. You're becoming the version of you who knows their truth and returns to it faster when life tries to pull you away. Embodied healing is not about perfection. It's about reconnection. When you get triggered, you notice it and choose your response. When old pain rises, you meet it and offer it breath, not shame. When someone tries to re-enter your life from a past chapter, you ask, is this aligned or familiar? You are not a performance. You are a presence. Let that presence lead now. Step 5. Become a safe place for yourself. You used to outsource safety. To the person who texted back. To the job that paid well. To the friend who validated your worth. Now, your safety lives within you. Here's how to reinforce it daily. Each morning, put your hand over your heart, whisper, I've got you. Take 5 slow breaths, one for your mind, your heart, your body, your energy, and your spirit. Ask yourself, what does my healed self need today? Then honor it. Stop waiting for permission to rest, play, or say no. The more consistently you become your own safe place, the less the world can knock you off balance. And the more people will feel that in your presence without you saying a word. Final declaration, from survivor to source. You've done what most people never do. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You became the kind of person whose energy no longer leaks, it leads. And now, When people enter your space, they don't just see someone who healed from hurt. They see someone who speaks calmly but clearly, sets boundaries without fear, walks away with grace, not bitterness, loves without losing themselves, radiates peace that feels unfamiliar but magnetic. This is what it means to embody your power. You are no longer asking, "Why did they hurt me?" You are now declaring, "Watch what I build because of it." That is the phoenix. That is the healer. That is the embodied one. That is you. Final activation. Comment this right now. Write it, speak it, feel it. I walk in my healed power. Let it echo into your nervous system. Let it rise through your spine. Let it burn the last remnants of doubt out of your field. You don't just know your worth now. You embody it. And from this point forward, no matter what happens, no matter who enters or exits your life, that truth can never be taken from you again.